months-long investigation. The Office of Congressional Ethics found no wrongdoing and voted unanimously to dismiss the case. I look forward to this same outcome from all impending investigations.
Congresswoman Cori Bush defending herself tonight as she acknowledges the feds are looking into her spending.
Bush is making global federal probe from the BBC and Daily Mail to national networks and all across Missouri. The story is making headlines. Thanks for joining us here at 6. Well, this news broke around noon today, and your First Alert team has been tracking all the details.
Yeah, Chief Investigative Reporter Lauren Traeger has been digging all day into Bush's spending. She joins us now with new information you'll only see here on 4, Lauren.
So we're talking about security services, and just as a point of comparison, I checked, and Congresswoman Ann Wagner from our area did not spend campaign dollars for security in 2013. But it may not be just the fact that Congresswoman Bush is hiring private security, but who she is hiring that is of the most interest to the feds. Bush has spent hundreds of thousands of dollars since first taking office on private security, even since there first was scrutiny over it. In just the first 9 months of 2023, her campaign spent close to $130,000 on security. That money paid out to a number of individuals and entities for security services. But more than $42,000 in the first 3 quarters of 2023 were paid directly to her husband, Courtney Merritts, something she has repeatedly defended and did so again today. Take a listen.
The nature of these allegations have been around my husband's role on the campaign. In accordance with all applicable rules, I retained my husband as part of my security team to provide security services because he has had extensive experience in this area and is able to provide the necessary services at or below fair market rate.
But one thing we looked at today, First Alert 4 Investigates has confirmed that Merritts does not have a security license in the city of St. Louis or the county of St. Louis. That's something that is required by law to work security here in the district Bush represents. We also checked, and 3 other people named in Bush's financial records as having received campaign funds for security: Joseph Walter, Nathaniel Davis, and Cornelius Brown. None of them have active licenses. And that is something that is of interest to good government advocates who we brought this to, saying it could be of concern.
I think that Cori Bush's supporters would be rightfully upset that this money is not being spent on campaign activity, but is being given to family and friends who appear not to have the qualifications or licensing or background to provide the services that the campaign claims that they're providing.
Now, local laws here say that working without an active security license in the city or the county could result in arrest, and the law says that companies or agencies that knowingly employ someone without a license subjects them to a fine and/or liability and a civil action. We have asked the Bush campaign about the lack of licenses here. They have not yet responded to all of our questions. Certainly something we are seeking to clarify whether or not they believe those security officers need to have licenses.
And Lauren, we know that Congresswoman Bush will rarely do one-on-one interviews with the media. We've asked her several times, have had a hard time getting her. Did she answer any questions from reporters during that gaggle in D.C. today?
No, specifically her PR person said there would be no questions. She did not take any questions. Again, those are questions we want to ask. Sure. Does she think that she needs to have those licenses? And why is this a valid spending concern in her mind? Didn't get the chance to do that today.
A lot to unpack here. What happens next, Lauren?
Yeah, it's a great question. Of course, everybody wants to know what's going to happen, but multiple agencies just need to do their job. There are still active reviews at the Federal Election Commission and a House Committee on Ethics, so those are ongoing. But this DOJ investigation is a whole different ballgame. Obviously, the feds are going to do what they're going to do. It's pretty clear they've maybe already conducted some interviews. They are gathering more information through subpoenas. They're gathering the facts, and the Congresswoman says she is cooperating fully with these investigations. Guys.
All right, something we'll continue to follow. Lauren, thank you.